So, looking at these two equations we have here, explain why or how you know that this first one is in standard form. What makes it standard form? What is standard form? No, technically there should probably be an equal here. What is standard form? Does anyone know?
Like when it's just like equated by itself, it's not simplified.
Y equals what? So standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's standard form. Let me turn off the lights because you can barely see that, right? Can you still see your papers? No?
Yes, we can. Everyone can see it.
All right. So that's in standard form.
How do you know?
What makes this in vertex form over here? What's different between the two? This one has parentheses what?
Squared.
Squared. Yes, this is parentheses squared with h and k, right?
Yes.
Why could I possibly ask you to convert from standard to vertex? Why would I do that? What does vertex form make it easier to do? Vertex. Oh my gosh, find the vertex. Why would I need to know where the vertex is? Why?
We can be asked that.
I could ask you to blank the equation.
Solve.
Not solve.
Substitute.
Vertex. What do I do with a vertex? Oh! I could ask you to convert from standard to vertex because I want you to graph it. Vertex form makes it extremely easy to graph the equation. Why would I ask you to go from vertex to standard? It's already been said. Someone said it starts with an S.
Solve.
Oh my gosh, solve it. Yes. Standard form makes it easier to solve or factor. Whew. All right. So now, done?
Yeah.
Put it on my desk, like on the middle. So now, I'm going to do the easier one. One way is easier than the other, only because you've had more practice. Which way do you think is easier?
Standard.
Going from standard to vertex, or going to standard? Which way?
To standard.
Yes, going from vertex to standard is easier because you should have had a lot of practice in Algebra 1 doing it. Should have. So let's go ahead and take this right vertex form and convert it into standard. Does anyone know how we do that?
No. Multiply.
Multiply what?
Everything. The square what's inside.
We go ahead and we square the x minus 7. How do you square something? Multiply it by itself. So here, I have x minus 7 times x minus 7. Should I just write x squared plus 49? Is that how you square something? No. Shh. Look. Look, but don't write this. Why is this wrong? What am I forgetting about? What term is missing that should be here? What goes between x squared and the constant? The plane.
Plane.
What goes between an x squared and a constant in a quadratic? The plane.
B. Plane X.
The plane x term. The b term. You're missing the b term. You said? Oh. Okay. So there's multiple ways we can multiply two binomials. Someone give me one way. How do we multiply these two parentheses together?
Oh, 2x.
Foil. We can foil it. What's another way?
The square box method.
The box method. What's another way?
Wait,
To multiply these two together.
Oh, foil method.
Foil and box. What's the other way? It starts with a D.
Distribute.
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 You just distribute everything in the first parentheses to everything in the second. That is my preferred way to think about it. I just think, okay, I need to distribute the x to both of the things in my second set of parentheses. So what is x times x? What is x times negative 7?
Negative 7x squared.
Good. Negative 7x. Just negative 7x. Then I multiply the negative 7 times both of the things in my second set. So what is negative 7 times x? Another negative 7x. And what is negative 7 times negative 7?
49.
Good. So now what do I do?
Same thing as 49.
Now what do I do? Add like terms. We have a like terms of negative 7x and negative 7x. What is negative 7x minus 7x?
X. Oh.
Negative 14x, not 0. Shh. And what is the last and final step here? 49 minus 22, and what do we get?
25. No, 27.
27.
Okay.
So this is our equation in standard form. If you don't like the distribution method, that is fine. Over to the side, you could have done x minus 7 times x minus 7 in the box. I don't care. Is this way more writing? Yes. But again, if this is how you think about it and how you do it best, then do it that way. Yes. Go ahead. All right. So what I want you to do now is I want you over on the right top flap. You see that? Convert the following into standard form. Converting from Vertex to standard. I want you guys to try number 1. That's what you're doing right now. Try number 1. This is Vertex to standard. Yes, it is. Vertex to standard. Try number 1. I am going to show you how this could just get a little bit harder, just a little bit. Look over here at this example right next to what we just completed, number 1. How is this example different from the number 1 you just did? There's a thing, a number in the front. Now. Now, when do you think you distribute this to?
Before you square. Oh, you right there. Before.
You distribute the 2 after you square. Because remember, what is squaring? What's happening? You're multiplying x minus 9 times itself. So if you distribute the 2 to both of those terms, you're technically multiplying 2 in twice.
Oh.
Doubling it, which is invalid. So first, square it, okay? First, square it. Again, how do we square?
Times by.
You multiply times itself, so how are we going to multiply these 2 together? You could either use the box method, FOIL, or distribute. Oh no, not me for work. So here, I am going to distribute the x first to both of the terms in the second parentheses. So I end up with x squared minus 9x. Then I'm going to distribute the negative 9, and I get negative 9x plus 81.
Can we still do it box?
Yes, of course. You can go ahead and do the box. Am I ever going to do the box? No, because I think that it's more work. But if you like it, you go ahead and do it. That's where you do x minus 9, and multiply.
Oh, okay. What about with the 2 then?
So, either you can just go ahead and distribute right now, or you can first combine like terms. Which one is less work? Combining like terms first, yes. So, x squared minus 18x plus 81 is combining those two 9's together. Now I am going to go ahead and distribute that too. So I end up with 2x squared minus 36x plus 162. And then lastly, what do? You add the 5 to the 162 and get what?
2x squared minus 36x plus 167.
Right. Making sure I put f of x in front. No, it's a function. Okay.
So it's gonna be wait, what's the end?
It's the same as writing y.
Yeah. What's okay?
Yes. What did we say is the difference between standard and Vertex? What does Vertex have that standard didn't? Parentheses and a square. So we are trying to create that set of parentheses squared. We're trying to find what we can square and still have it be the same equation as it was in standard form. So go down to the bottom left flap there, the understanding lie flap. Or is it? No, it was converting from standard to Vertex. If we look at the flap right above it, when we were going from Vertex to standard, if we look at that exact same problem and we look at it going backwards. So I start here at standard. What happened in the above step, right above it? What did we do to get from the last step to the second to last step? Yes, this 27 is split into two numbers. Then what happened to go from the second to last step to get to the third to last step?
Combine like terms.
We split the 14x into 7 and 7. That's how we got the x minus 7 squared. We took the middle term, the negative 14x, and did what to it? What did we do to that negative 14? Divided it into 2. So same thing here. Whoops. Same thing down here. Shh. We took the negative 14 and split it into 2. So we got negative 7 and negative 7. So if I was to multiply this out, what is x times x? X squared. What's negative 7 times x? And x times negative 7? And negative 7 times negative 7. So, do the numbers inside of the box perfectly match what we had in standard form?
No.
What is different? The 49. Right here. This 49, is that what ended our standard form?
No.
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 So, when we are squaring x minus 7 and x minus 7, we're introducing a brand new constant. Now, I'll show you how to find that number in a second. Just keep in mind, okay, we're adding in a brand new constant that wasn't there before. So let me show you the steps on converting into vertex form. Does anyone know what this process is called? To convert into vertex form? It's blank the square. It starts with a C. Blank the square.
Convert the square.
Not convert. Not calculate.
Convert.
Complete the square. This process is called completing the square. All right, so let me show you what to do. It's just steps that you have to memorize, unfortunately. Now remember, what did we do to this 14x to get this -7? We split it in half. So that's what we do here. We take our b and divide it in half. So what's our b on this problem? -6. What's -6 split in half? That is what goes inside of our parentheses after the x. So inside parentheses after the x goes the b value divided in half. Then we bring down the -12. Now, remember I said that when we squared the x minus 7 and x minus 7, we accidentally got a 49, right? We accidentally added in a constant that wasn't there before. What happens to an equation if you add in something to one side? What do you need to do? You do the same to the other side to keep it balanced. So, what if I was going to multiply this out, x minus 3 and x minus 3? No, you don't need to write this part. Well, that's fine if you write it. What is the constant that is added in that wasn't there before? -9? A +9. So that, oh boy. So that is what is written on the other side. That +9 to keep everything balanced. Now, if you're a fan of formulas, the way that you find that 9 is by doing b divided by 2 squared. I am not a fan of formulas. So what I do, I don't draw the x, the box. I look at this number and ask myself, what operation is happening to that number? It's being squared. So what is -3 squared? And that's how I got the 9. Boom. So for example, if I had this and I was trying to figure out what to put on the other side, and this is just an example, and I was trying to figure out what went on the other side, what's happening to the -4? Being squared. So what is -4 squared? That's what I would put on the other side. All right. Is this in vertex form?
Yes.
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? We have values on both sides of the equal sign. So what do you think I need to do? Subtract 9 over. So I have x minus 3. What is -2 minus 9? Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. What is -12 minus 9?
3.
Wait, what?
15.
Hey, be nice. What is negative 12 minus 9? Negative 21. Trying and failing is how we learn. Okay. Failing is fine as long as you learn from it. This is our answer in vertex form. So, let's go over the steps one more time. What did we do first? Divide b by 2. Where did we then put it? In parentheses with x. How did we find what number to put on the other side? You ask yourself, what is happening to the negative 3? It is being squared. So negative 3 squared is 9. So that is what is put on the other side.
Wait, sorry, repeat that.
Okay. So, step 1. Divide b by 2. Put it in the parentheses with x. Step 2. Look what's happening to the negative 3. It's being squared. So I square it and I get 9. That is what you put on the other side. Last and final step, get everything to one side. So I subtract 9 over and I am done. Any questions? All right. Now, I am going to ask you to change this problem that I've written here into one that is easier. G of x equals x squared minus 10x plus 4. Go ahead and convert this into vertex form. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this just a little bit more difficult by putting a 2 in front. I'm going to change this to 16x. No, just watch this one. Don't write this one. Just watch. I will do another example. Right now, I just want you to watch. Can you watch and talk at the same time? No. All right. The first step when you have an a value is to take the a value out of the first 2 terms only. So, I'm going to take a 2 out of the first 2 terms. What is 2 divided by 2? 1. So we just have an x squared. And what's negative 16 divided by 2? Good. Bring down the 4. Now it's just like before, where we do what first? What do we do first? Divide the b by 2. So our b value is now negative 8. What is negative 8 divided by 2?
Negative 4.
Wonderful. That's what we put where? In the parentheses next to the x, we put negative 4. Whoops. So here is a negative 4. Now, in order to figure out what goes on the other side, what do we ask ourselves? You ask yourselves technically, what is happening to the negative 4? So we can see it's being what? First, squared. What else is happening? It's also being multiplied by 2. See that 2 out in front? So what is negative 4 squared? 16. And then what is 16 times 2? That's 16 times 2 is 32. That's what we put on the other side.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Now, if you're a fan of formulas, the formula for that is a times b over 2 squared. I am not a fan of formulas, so I will not be writing that every time. Instead, I asked myself, what is happening to the -4? It's being squared and multiplied times 2. What's our last and final step? What do we have to do? We subtract the 32 over. So what is 4 minus 32?
4 minus -28.
And I'm done. So was that really a ton more difficult? No, it just added in an extra step, right? Let me show you one more time. So go ahead, and this you are writing. Example 2. This you are writing down. I am extremely impressed. Shh.
Right when she was going to say something good.
I'm extremely impressed with the number of people that can watch something with their head not even turned towards the direction they're supposed to be watching. So, no, not really technically something I'm complimenting you on. All right, so what do I do first in this problem?
Divide the B
Divide what?
by 2.
3.
You're taking the 3 out of the first 2 terms. This is so what you were supposed to just be watching was a little bit harder type of problem where we have to start with taking the A value out. So I'm going to take a 3 out of the first 2. I'm left with x squared. What is -12 divided by 3?
-4.
Okay, good. Now it's just like the other problem. Now I do what? Divide your B value by 2 in half. So -4 divided by 2 is what? -2. That's what I put where? With the x inside the parentheses squared. Bring down the 25. How do I figure out what goes on the other side?
It's getting squared.
Ask yourself what's happening to the -2. It's being squared and multiplied by 3. So what is -2 squared? 4. And what is 4 times 3? That's what we put on the other side. Am I done?
No.
What's the last step? -12 over, and what is 25 minus 12? So my answer is 3 times x minus 2 squared plus 13. Now, what is the vertex at this point? 2, 13. Remember, H is tricky. K is normal. All right. You guys go ahead and try. I'll go back. You guys go ahead and do number 2 now, okay? I'll go back. Here I am. Go ahead and try number 2.